Hello, welcome to the IGNOU Distant Learners. I am Dr. R.V. Chitaguppi from Dharwad IGNOU Study Center 1303. My subject is History and Archaeology. In my previous session, I had discussed about the subject BHIC 131. This subject we had discussed, and we had taken the topic here, the sources, archaeological sources and the literary sources. To study the history, these sources are very important. This aspect we had discussed. Today we will move to another topic here in 131 itself. The topic is Harappa culture. Harappa culture, and we are going to take the study of the discovery, the important sites and material findings, or they are also called as artifacts, and their features and how they are helpful for the historians to reconstruct the history. So this is what we are going to discuss in this session. So at the very outset, if you turn the pages of the world history, you will come across in the ancient period many civilizations have flourished. Particularly on the river banks, they have sprang up. For example, in Central Asia, we have on the Tigris and Euphrates river banks the Mesopotamian civilization. In Africa, on the banks of river Nile flourished the Egyptian civilization. Again in Asia, we have on Yangat, Sikang, Huangbo and Sikang rivers the Chinese civilization. And at the same time, in India, around about 3100 BC, flourished a civilization called as Harappa culture or Harappa civilization, also termed as Indus Valley civilization. It is also referred here as Sindhu Saraswati civilization. So these are the terminologies used for this civilization, but very popular term, the Harappa culture or the Harappa civilization, is properly used. So this civilization, how it was discovered. So this aspect we are going to deal at the beginning. How this civilization came to light. So the study of the Indian history, as you know, that started very late 18th century, in the last quarter of the 18th century. The advent of the British, their colonization of India, here they were responsible to nourish the subject history there. And the study of our past started. It was in the first quarter of the 20th century. The civilization was discovered in the northwestern part of India. 1921 and 22, under the directorship of the John Marshall, who was working for Archaeological Survey of India, supported by Dayaram Sahani and R.D. Banerjee. The civilization came to light. However, you should know that before 1921 and 22, earlier evidences of this civilization had been noticed here in 1829 and 30 by Charles Mason. Followed by that, here it was Alexander Cunningham who had come across certain evidences of this civilization. However, a systematic excavation was conducted in 1921 and 22 under the guidance of John Marshall. So the civilization here came to light in 1921 and 22 with the discovery of the two sites, Harappa on the banks of river Ravi and Mohenjo-daro on the banks of river Indus. Today, both of the sites are located in Pakistan. They are no more in India. So this is here mainly the discovery of this civilization. So 1921 and 22 marks an important event in the Indian history. The discovery of this civilization. We came to know that like Egyptian, Mesopotamian and Chinese, we also had an ancient civilization. We also had an ancient culture. So the discovery of this civilization, what impact it had on Indian history? What was the significance of this discovery on Indian history? So if you look at, we had earlier said, the late 18th century, the study of Indian history had started. And in the 19th century, many books were written on Indian history. However, all the books which were written in the 19th century did not possess the topic Harappan civilization, because this civilization was here yet not discovered. So, the history of India usually commenced from the Vedic period or the Vedic culture. It was after the discovery of this civilization, the Indian history came to be rewritten. The Indian history here was pushed back here, and the addition of this topic has been made to the history. So 1921 and 22 marks a very important event of the Indian history, as Indian history came to be rewritten by adding this topic of the civilization. So later, after 1921 and 22, excavations continued, and even till today the excavations are going on, and many sites have been discovered in Pakistan and in India. Today we have 1400 Indus Valley or the Harappan sites. Most of the sites are located in India. Nearly 925 are in India, 475 are in the Pakistan. So we have 1400 sites so far discovered pertaining to the Harappan civilization. This civilization, when it was discovered, John Marshall thought it was an extension of the Sumerian civilization, which was here mainly contemporary to Harappa culture, which flourished in the Iraq region on the banks of Tigris and Euphrates. That is, Mesopotamian first civilization is known as here Sumerian civilization. So John Marshall thought that it was the mainly offshoot of the Sumerian civilization. So the civilization was named by him at the beginning as Indo-Sumerian civilization. He called it as Indo-Sumerian civilization. But later, after the study of the artifacts, John Marshall came to the conclusion that both the civilizations were different, and he adopted a new name to this Indian civilization and called it as Indus Valley civilization. This was the term used by John Marshall. However, when the excavations continued and many new sites were discovered, so geographically we find vast area was covered by this civilization. If you look at the geographical extension of this civilization, from the foothills of Hindu Kush mountains to Uttar Pradesh west to east, from Jammu in the north to Gujarat and parts of Maharashtra in the south. It covers geographically a vast area. If you go by the distance here, 1600 kilometers from west to east and 1100 kilometers from north to south. So hence, calling it as Indus Valley civilization here was not appropriate. Hence the scholars, historians here mainly adopted the new name, that is Harappa civilization or Harappa culture, which was the first city of the Indus to be discovered. So it came to be called as the Harappa culture. So this is what we have, the most common term used for this civilization, the Harappa culture or the Harappa civilization. Sometimes also referred as Sindhu Saraswati civilization. So mainly the civilization is also known by this name. So the discovery marks a very important period in our Indian history. So a new chapter was added to the Indian history with the discovery of this civilization. So if you look at the important sites of the Indus Valley civilization, as I mentioned, there are 1400 sites today, but out of them few are very important sites. We have some important sites of the Indus Valley civilization, like the first site to be discovered was Harappa, followed by Mohenjo-daro. The word Mohenjo-daro in Sindhi language means the mound of the dead. So why it is so called, we will be knowing it when we go to the study of the culture. Mohenjo-daro, called as the mound of the dead. Chahundaro, Koth Diji, Balakot, Sukat Genjaro. These are all the sites located today in Pakistan region. They are in Pakistan. However, coming to India, the most important sites we have is in India, coming from north to south. In Jammu, we have the site called Manda. Punjab, Ropar. In Haryana, we have the two sites, Banwali and Rakhigari. Rakhigari is considered to be the largest Indus Valley site here if you take the area wise. 350 hectares. Rakhigari is the largest Indus Valley site located in Haryana state. Down we have in Rajasthan, Kali Bangan. In Uttar Pradesh, Alamgirpur. Most of the sites in India are located in Gujarat. Like we have Lothal, Rangpur, Kuntasi, Desalpur, Dholavira. These are all located in Gujarat region. And lot of studies is going on here to one more site located in Maharashtra, that is Daimabad. So proto-Harappan site or whether a Harappan site, the researches are yet to be conducted. So however, if you look at India has got majority of the sites of Indus Valley civilization. And here the recent discovered site, that is Dholavira. It was in 1992 and 93. This site was mainly brought to light under mainly the work taken by here J.P. Joshi and R.S. Bishat. who worked on this site, and the most important site what we have got in Gujarat. This mainly is the latest site of the Indus Valley civilization. So if you study the sites of the Indus Valley civilization, so a lot of excavations have been conducted at these places, and we have got a lot of material findings which are called as the artifacts. The material things here have been discovered at these places known as the artifacts. And it is with the help of these artifacts here we are mainly going to know about the history of the civilization. How this civilization flourished, how the people lived there, what was their way of life, and what was their culture. But before we go to this material findings or the artifacts here, one has to know that the whole history of Indus Valley civilization or Harappa civilization is written based on exclusively archaeological sources. Only archaeological sources are available to write the history of the Harappan civilization. Though writing is present, script is present, it is a pictorial script but undeciphered script. Undeciphered is unread script. Still the script has to be read. So writings do not help us to know about the history of the Harappa. So it is exclusively these artifacts which have been found in the sites. They have mainly been of use to reconstruct the history. So keeping these artifacts, the scholars, historians here, they have written about the Indus Valley civilization. So what is the nature of these artifacts and how they are helpful to know about their culture? We will be taking the few examples to know the significance of these artifacts. So if one studies the history of Indus Valley civilization, one of the most striking feature of the civilization is the town planning system. A very well planned cities were constructed. Very systematic and organized cities were built. So this planning of the city, their town planning, can be understood with the mainly the remains of the cities that have been discovered at Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Dholavira, Chahundaro. These cities have helped us to know about how the town planning was there by the Indus people. For instance, the towns were built keeping the dice chart as their blueprint. The dice chart was the blueprint here for the construction of the cities. The roads were wide. So the widest road is 33 feet and the narrowest road is 9 feet. Likewise, the roads used to cut at the right angles. Residential houses were built. We have come across from 2 to 3 rooms to 25 rooms residential houses. Public buildings were noticed like assembly hall, public baths, the harbors, the ports, the dockyards. So we have got here the public buildings. The city comprised of these here mainly the building structures. And if one notices the town planning of the Indus, the outstanding feature of the town planning was the underground drainage system. And Mohenjo-daro has yielded a very good evidence of the underground drainage system, which speaks about their importance they gave for hygienic conditions. So these are how the material findings have helped us to know about their mainly the town planning system. Likewise, evidences of barley, wheat, mustard show that they were the food crops used by the people. However, it is here in Lothal and Rangpur we have the evidences of rice. Rice cultivation was very less, paddy cultivation was less. Barley was their staple crop, which in abundant we have found the evidences. So the food habits can be understood. In almost all the sites we have discovered a variety of the ornaments. Both men and women ornaments have been discovered. It shows that Indus Valley people were very fond of the wearing of the ornaments. And these ornaments also speak about the knowledge of the metals of the people. The ornaments are made out of the gold, silver, copper, bronze. So this shows that the usage of the metals by the people of Indus. So this is how we come across mainly the material facts have helped us to know about their social aspects. We are able to speak about their social life. The discovery of the toys at many sites which are made out of metals like copper, bronze and also terracotta. The toys were mainly for the amusement of the children. We have got a variety of animals in the form of the toys. So these mainly material facts have mainly helped the historians to know about their mainly amusements. The dice chart shows that here it was a very common here mainly amusement for the people. These are mainly the material facts which have been discovered and the social life can be understood. Cotton which has been grown in abundance here was used for making of the cloth. Cloth was made out of mainly the cotton. And the evidences have come to us. So here these material findings, how they will be helpful to reconstruct the history, that is most important for us. Likewise, we are also able to speak about their economic life, the discovery of here the evidences of the ports shows the maritime activities. Here mainly the seals of Mesopotamia or the Sumeria shows the commercial contacts. Here commercial activities can be understood. The trade and commerce can be known. Domestication of the camels has helped us to know that it was a beast of burden in the trade activities. The making of the ship, the boats, ferries, speak on the sea route used for the trade purpose. So these are the examples to be taken and made known how the artifacts have helped us to know. From Kalibangan in Rajasthan, we have found a furrowed land here with the help of a plough, which shows the agriculture here was conducted and with the help of the plough. The plough was used in conduct of the agriculture. Plenty of water was there, and agriculture seemed to be one of the most important economic activity. Discovery of the idols indicates the smithy industry was very popular. The idols made out of bronze, copper, stones indicate that the making of idols was very popular. The best example for the iconography of the Indus was The bronze statue discovered at Mohenjo-daro of a dancing girl. So the smithy industry flourished. Potteries, at almost all the sites, different types of potteries have been discovered. Shows pottery industry was popular. Here mainly the economic life of the people can be understood, and rightly Mortimer Wheeler, looking at these evidences, has stated Indus Valley civilization was an urban civilization. It was an urban culture. Likewise, the evidences, material findings, artifacts have helped us to know about their religion also. We can say Indus people were the worshippers of the idols. The discovery of the mother goddess idols. The female god was very popularly worshipped. The evidence of Pashupati seal, identified by John Marshall as a proto-Shiva, the male god worshipped. These are mainly the gods that were worshipped. Animism was practiced. The worship of the animals, the practice of animism. The most important animal, the sacred animal worshipped by the people was the humped bull. It was the sacred animal for the Indus people. The public baths, in almost all the sites we have got the public baths. It is said that these were used for religious purpose. Ancestral worship was performed at these places. So it was for religious purpose. The public baths have been used. Religiously, the burial practices is well known by the discovery of the graveyards. So at Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Lothal have yielded a lot of evidences about here the disposal of the dead, which was one of the important religious ritual to be performed, or the funeral rituals. How it was carried out. Either the burning of the bodies or cremation of the bodies, burying of the bodies. So where burials have been found, the body has been kept in coffin box also. The usage of the coffin box can be understood. In Harappa and Lothal we have found the coffin box evidence. So for burying of mainly the bodies, the coffin box has been used. In Lothal we have found a very interesting burial. In one grave we have found a pair of skeletons. One is of a male and another one is of a female, which speaks about the joint burial. Lothal has also yielded the evidence about the fractional burial. The fractional burial was also used by the people. So disposal of the dead here is one of the important religious traditions, rituals to be performed by the people. They gave a lot of importance here to the disposal of the dead, and lot of evidences have come down to us. Thus, if you look at here, mainly these material evidences, we can speak about their culture, how was their way of the life. Even we can give here some evidences about how the decline of this civilization had taken place. The material evidences have yielded the evidence of the floods, the earthquakes, the wildfire. Kotadiji was one of the site which was destroyed completely by wildfire. Changing of the course of the rivers, drying up of the river beds. The nature was one of the enemy to the Indus people, and it is the nature who brought the destruction to this great civilization. And later on this culture, on this civilization, flourished a new culture round about 2000 BC, the Vedic culture or the Aryan culture. So students, in this class we have just seen about the Harappa cultures, the preliminary features, how this site was, the civilization was discovered, which are the important sites of the civilization, and the material findings that have been noticed, and how they have helped us to reconstruct the history of the Harappan civilization. So this will be here mainly the first preliminary aspect of this civilization. In my next session, we will continue the discussion on Harappan culture itself. I will be speaking about the mercantile contacts of Indus Valley civilization or the Harappan civilization, the contacts they had. About here mainly their commercial contacts I will be speaking, and in one more class I will be speaking about the religion of Indus Valley civilization, which is important from your examination point of view. In my next session, these two topics will be discussed. Thank you.